Hola, everybody. Welcome to webinar number 9, Clearing the Junk Out of Your Life. And today we're going to talk more about following your heart, following your intuition, and how self-love, self-growth, and taking leaps of faith in your life can absolutely help you shift from depression to a life of celebration and happiness. So my best friend here, Jodie Jaimes at jodiejaimes.com, happiness coach, is with me today. And I'm just going to talk more about, well, I'll let her talk about her story and how her, following her heart and making some decisions a little bit over a year and a half ago, is I met her maybe a year and a half ago, right?
Maybe
a little bit, almost 2 years ago, I guess, online. We actually met on a Google Hangout like this, so it's kind of funny. But I know she's gone through lots of transitions, and she's an amazingly strong woman and has, grown leaps and bounds, and it's amazing to watch her life transform. So I'll just let her chat more about how discovering self-love has brought so much happiness to her life. And, by implementing the things she's learned, she's, seeing how things really do work when we put them into action. So, yeah, tell us more about yourself.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. And as Melissa said, I am a happiness coach. But I want to tell you a little bit how I got to that point in my life. Like Melissa was saying, just over 2 years ago, we met on a Google Hangout. I was at a point in my life where I was searching for something more. To the outside world, it looked like I had it all together, that I had, the fairy tale. I had a husband, I worked on a private yacht, I was traveling the world, I had no responsibilities. But deep down inside, I was lonely and depressed and just felt like my life was going nowhere. So I reached out and looked out on the internet for something. I actually didn't even know what I was looking for. I just knew I needed something. And it led me down a path of self-discovery and personal development that I wouldn't change for the world. So I'm not going to give you the details and the whole story because I can talk for hours. But it just took that, just being in that place where you just needed help and just your surroundings just weren't helping you, and just reaching out and asking for help. Just like Melissa and I do today, like we help others find their purpose, find what makes them happy, and just by reaching out for help, we were able to get to this point where we can help others. So I think that's really important. And anybody here today just listening, you're taking that first step, congratulations. Just looking for help.
And discovering those things naturally too, that's something that I found. There's a lot of ways we can take care of ourselves without, you don't have to search outside of ourselves. So yeah, it's really all in here.
Everything you need is right inside. But in our society, we are used to looking outside of ourselves for happiness. And, you can see for yourself just the way society and everything is going, that's no longer a solution. So really looking within you is where you'll find your true happiness. So just over a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I reached out onto the internet looking for something, and I found a group of amazing entrepreneurs online. I met Melissa, and just started to really get an idea of, wow, I can actually do something with my life. I'm not stuck in this situation. I can actually do something. And that was a huge revelation to me, just realizing, having that awareness that I am actually in control of my life and my situation. That was huge. Because most of us feel like we're captive to our situations and our circumstances, and really we're not. It's absolutely just a choice. So when I realized that, I found myself spending more and more time with people that felt like that too, and that thought like that too. Because my surroundings, the people that I surrounded myself with at that time, before I found this amazing group online, had very limiting beliefs and just felt very stuck. And so the people you surround yourself with is huge. It's huge on your perception of life, because you end up having similar beliefs. So when when it doesn't feel right to you, when something isn't feeling right, it's genuinely because your head and your heart are out of alignment. That's what I found for myself. I was feeling something different to what my head was trying to create. I was trying to create something that actually wasn't there inside. And when you have that kind of feeling, you just know that something isn't right. And when you are in alignment, everything just flows naturally. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. And that's what happened to me. I started to reach out and meet these people online until I made the decision to actually go to my first personal development event and marketing event and meet the people that I met online. That my whole world changed. I then had, it was like somebody, excuse my French, it was like somebody put a rocket up my butt and just showed me that I could shoot for the moon. It was crazy. Just surround myself with positive, like-minded people. I became an addict to personal development.
Personal development junkies.
It's not a bad junkie to be. Yeah. But it was amazing. And it just gave me confidence. It made me dream again. I pushed my dreams aside because I had to do this and do that. That I created in my mind that I thought I had to do. And I was married at the time. And so just getting around people that are in the same mindset as me helped me to build that confidence and actually really discover who I am without being a wife, without being, what my occupation said I was, a stewardess on a private yacht at the time. I wasn't any of those things. None of those things defined who I was, and my dreams were still inside me. I just had to dig down deep and find them again. And once I did that, and I started to go more and more, every 90 days, actually, I was going to a personal development event. I was a junkie. And just each time, I just delved deeper into who I was and what I wanted out of life. And it led me to make a huge decision that I was struggling to make for quite a few years, which was to leave the yachting industry and just go and find what makes me happy, go and find what I enjoy doing. Because I've been working so long just for money that I'd forgotten what I actually enjoyed. So when I made that decision, so much shifted in my life. I decided to live in Mexico instead of South Africa, where I was destined to spend the rest of my life. So I made a decision to live in Mexico, and then the people that came into my life just shifted my perception and shifted my abilities in myself and what I was capable of. And I ended up going through a huge transformation doing my yoga teacher training. And that really just solidified knowing who I was and what I wanted. And just taking that time for myself. Because, most of us, we spend so much time taking care of others in our lives that we put ourselves last. And so through this whole process over the last 2 years, I've really discovered how to, number one, love myself, and number two, listen to how I'm feeling. Even how I speak, how I act, if something doesn't feel right, that's a sign for me that I'm getting off course. So then just come back to myself, block out saying yes to every opportunity that comes up sometimes, because often you end up taking on too much and therefore forgetting about yourself. It's really important to take time for yourself, because if you don't take time for yourself, you actually have less to give to others. So what I really learned and discovered was just following my intuition and trusting that intuition, because we don't really know. We have no knowing of what's going to happen tomorrow. There's only 2 days, I actually just read this recently, there's only by, I think it's the Dalai Lama, but there's only 2 days that you cannot do anything about, and that's yesterday and tomorrow. But today, you have full control. So take time for yourself and put yourself first so that you can actually give yourself better to others when you set yourself to give yourself to others.
And learning to say no, that's one of the hardest things is feeling comfortable saying no because it doesn't work for you, because you have something on or you're already busy or this and that. But don't take on too much if you know your energy is going to be depleted. And, even if you don't want to, just really listen to how you feel, because you might resent that, or you might bring up some anger, or you feel frustrated about it. So just, learn to say no, be comfortable with it. It's okay. Think about how when people say no to you, you probably feel okay with, it doesn't bother you. It doesn't bother me when people say no. It just doesn't work for them. So,
just making conscious choices.
Yeah.
Making conscious choices, and just asking yourself that question. Okay, I've been offered to do this. How does this serve me? How does this serve me? Because we get invitations all day, every day. We are, I call them also like enticing distractions. Because of course you want to do all these different things, but is it getting you to where you want to be? That's also one of the things that for me was huge. I was just doodling through life without really any direction or any vision. And that's huge, just having a vision. Just having a vision and staying the course, saying no to the things that are not congruent with your vision. So that's really important. And like I said, just self-love, really practice self-love, because that is a huge, huge reason why we judge others, or we are unsure of what we're doing. It's because we don't have confidence and self-love in ourselves. And so, a simple way for you to start building on your self-love is to, one of the things I love to do is to write yourself a love letter. Write yourself a love letter and read it to yourself every day. It really just helps you to be like, actually, I do have skills. Actually, I am a good person. Actually, I do give a lot, because we can often feel like we're not enough, and that we're not good enough, and we're not accepted. And the truth is, you need to love and accept yourself first, because you are the only example to show the rest of the world of how to love and accept you.
And you're the only person you spend all day, every day with, all the time, no matter what with. So, how many times, what if you and your body and yourself could be best friends today? Because from now on, because you don't have anyone there with you all the time.
Yeah.
So
wherever you go, you take yourself with you, so you might as well like it.
Yeah. So why are we sitting in our heads arguing with ourselves? The universe is over here saying, "Hey, I have all these things to present to you," while you're over there in the corner just arguing with yourself until you figure out what you want and make that vision clear. One of the things about self-growth was I started reading self-help books and spiritual books over 7-8 years ago, and Eat, Pray, Love was my first one, which is more of like a story, a love story. But then I started reading Eckhart Tolle, and A New Earth was my very first self-help book that I read, and I remember closing the book, like slamming the book shut, like every couple pages, and I was just shaking my head, thinking like, how come and why doesn't everybody in the world read these kind of things? Because it was just blowing my mind. And from then, I just couldn't stop putting these books down. And you start to read even just a page a day, even if you don't like to read it, just get yourself putting those words into your head so that you have at least a few different perspectives that can carry you through the day. And what I found was a lot of times that what I read that day was exactly what I needed to hear. And that will help you follow and learn more about, why you may be feeling anxiety or why that depression may be still there after years and years. But the more you notice, like Jodie's saying, like your mind and your heart, if they're out of balance, then there's going to be some frequencies and vibrations and emotions in the body that are uneven and causing you stress. So
and it can cause physical illness.
Yeah, exactly. And they cause physical illness. The body's trying to tell you something, and it just, there's ways to eliminate that as well. and things are going to be always coming and always changing as well. So anxiety may shift, it'll dissipate. It can come back from other thoughts or from emotional charges that are still there in the body from experiences or memories. And so it's just taking the time to learn and really be gentle and honest with yourself. And when you're honest with yourself, you can be honest with other people. And what I find as well that can cause a little bit of distress in the body is when people are trying to be truthful and be honest for somebody else and with someone else more than themselves. But when you actually turn it around and decide what you want and you're honest with yourself, then that's, the easiest way you can be honest with everyone else. Even if it's breaking up in a relationship and might cause heartache to that other person, it still needs to happen because why would you continue living a life that you don't feel is truthful for you anymore? So regardless of what the situation is, be honest with yourself about losing weight, about changing what you do daily that you would benefit your health and relationships and business.
I can relate to that. One of the biggest decisions I made last year was to get a divorce. I had been married for 8 years, and I didn't have an abusive relationship or anything like that. It wasn't horrible. We just didn't work well together, and we just spent so many years trying to make something work that wasn't there. Like I was saying, my head and my heart. My head was like, I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna make this work. I can make this work. But my heart didn't feel it. And so when I actually made that decision, to let it go, even though I knew all the things I was letting go of, that I was afraid to let go of for so many years, it's hard to explain because it's a feeling, but just a calmness came over me. I was in alignment. All of a sudden, when I made that decision, it felt like the right thing to do. Now, I'm not saying go out and get a divorce if you're in the middle of an argument. I'm not saying that. But for me, that's what I needed to do. I had to be honest with myself that, you know what, after 8 years of trying to make something work, maybe there isn't anything there to work. And when I made that decision, it was heartbreaking for everybody involved, but it was the best thing I could have done. It set us both free to actually be who we were meant to be and live the lives we were meant to live. And to my surprise, when I was letting go of all these things that were working in my life, all of a sudden, in just a huge abundance, everything that I did dream of, that I was dreaming of, that was on my vision board, just started to pour into my life. My head was trying to tell me, okay, I'm not ready for this right now, but my heart was just go with it. This is the right thing to do. And I listened to my heart, I followed my intuition, and I can truly and honestly say, I don't think I've ever been as happy as I am today. And so, not to say that happiness is a constant state of mind. We're constantly going to have struggles, things that are going to come into our lives that are going to challenge us. Even in those, those amazing relationships, even in those not so amazing relationships, you're going to have the highs and the lows. But to be in it for the right reasons is key. And just listen to yourself. And when it's no longer working, ask yourself, what is there for me to learn here? What can I learn from this situation? And just be open. Don't try and look for the answers. The power is in the question. Ask the question and be open to the answers. Don't be so rigid and having to know how and why, because we don't know how and why. And that's where intuition of faith and trust comes in. Is ask the question, be open and be true to yourself. And I can guarantee you that things will start to come into your life that will benefit and elevate your life and your happiness.
And yeah, just looking around you where you are, and asking that, applying that in any area of your life, which Jodie was saying, is like, is this working for me? What can I do different? Do I want different results with my business, with my health, with exercising, with my diet change? Then you actually have to do something different. If you want different results, you have to do something different and take that action to make things happen. And that's, yeah, exactly it. It's like sometimes, I'm sitting here a couple years, well, just when I got to Mexico, actually, a couple years ago, October, not even a couple years ago. When I started working with online marketing a while back, that was 2 years ago, but even sitting here sometimes, we always have to revise our vision and keep focused on our plans. And it's, sometimes we're like, well, how are we going to do this and how are we going to do that? But when you just take the time and step back and just let things happen without knowing exactly how or thinking you have to do everything this way, then things will start to unfold and nature will start to take its course, and we're not putting so much pressure on ourselves. So Jodie, I was going to ask, what would you tell people if they know they needed to make a decision, say in a relationship or with a change of career or making a big leap of faith, like quitting the yachting business and not really knowing and being sure of what you wanted to do after that. So what would you tell people, as in when's the right time, and like how to not wait any longer, and how to just like make the decision instead of like waiting for another year, when you spent a long time in the same position?
I believe everything happens in divine time. For me, if I had made that decision 5 years ago, I think my life would be very different right now. And sometimes we have to go through those struggles, So sometimes, we don't always, like, hindsight is, the best side, but we don't always know why we're going through certain situations. So sometimes we have to go through the rough times in order to push us to that point where, like, okay, enough is enough. So it's kind of tough to say when is the best time, but you'll feel it. Like, I just got a feeling. I've been thinking about divorce for 5 years, and 5 years is a long time to sit with that feeling, as I constantly would use my head. So I would say is put down on paper how you feel, listen to your heart, and then I would say, now listen to what is your head telling you. So what do you want, and what is stopping you from getting what you want? Because sometimes it's fear of what other people will think of us. That was a huge one for me. Fear of failing. Like, getting a divorce means I failed at my marriage, But when I actually wrote down how I felt that I tried absolutely everything I possibly could in my relationship. Therefore, I felt okay with ending it because I did everything that I could. So just by writing down how you feel and what you want and what's stopping you from what you want, and then writing down also what you can do to get what you want, then you actually have a whole different perspective of your life. And because when it's all up in your head, it's easy to just get so anxious and frustrated. And when it's down on paper, you can actually see it in black and white and just be like,
simple, actually.
Okay. Life is simple.
It looks a lot more simple.
But we make it complicated.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. One of the things that one of my sayings that I always say is that when we're living in the past, we're depressed. When we're living in the future, we're anxious. But when we're present, when we're living in the present, in the moment, that's happiness. That's happiness. And it's true. I mean, if you just take, for example, if I have my nieces here, and when I'm playing with them, I am so happy. I have a smile on my face. They make me smile. I am happy in that moment. When I start to think, oh my goodness, when they leave, I'm going to miss them. I'm thinking of the future. I get anxious. I don't want to miss them. When I'm thinking of like the past, of all times that I've missed that I could have been with them, I'm sad. I'm depressed. But when I'm with them right there and then, I'm happy. I'm so happy. And it's just crazy how just putting your life on paper like that and just trying to live in the moment, what can I do with today, can really change your perspective and pull you out of anxiety, pull you out of depression, and help you be in a more stable state of happiness on a much regular basis, you know. So I think really the only time is now. I stopped wearing a watch for that reason because the only time is now. It's the only time that you have. And so if you're feeling right now that I don't want to be in this relationship, I don't like the way I feel, I don't like the way I look, then now is the time to act. Not tomorrow, not next week, not a year from now. Go with how you feel now, because that will steer you on your true course.
And pivot yourself out of those slumps, by, what we think today, or our thoughts, every thought we have will ripple throughout 1,000 tomorrows. And as I'm looking over the ocean here, there's just like constant ripples and flows and ocean waves coming from every angle, and it's almost a meditation to just stare out there. But I think, that's like our brain, that's like our brain, and every ripple in the water is like a thought. And it's like, how calm do you want to keep your water? How calm do you want to keep that peace? So it's like every time you create a negative thought, it's going to send out those ripples, and they're just going to carry on. And Buddha says, what we choose today will ripple throughout 1,000 tomorrows. So make those decisions, those actions, and watch where you spend your time thinking. I know I've spent a lot of time just sitting and thinking about everything, and sometimes hours go by, and it's just like getting yourself out of that thinking mode and start taking action. Because now is no opportunity wasted. You just do it now, get it done, and your brain, your body, your energy, everything feels so much better. So.
There's no time like the present.
But take that leap of faith, acknowledge where you are in your life, embrace it, just say, hey, this is what I've had to do up until this point in my life. All the things, the divine timing, everything that's happened, beginnings and endings, it's all just there because you had to go through that. And now it's time to take control. You can't control everything, but you can make different choices. You can have different, you can change your dreams. You can create that amazing vision and make decisions that you don't feel are keeping you in that state of health anymore, that aren't in line with your vision. So.
Just realizing that you're not stuck. You are where you are today because of your past decisions and choices. And yet today, you get to make a new decision and a new choice. And that's going to change your tomorrow. One of the things that I teach my clients is how to love themselves and how to love their lives. And I offer, a free 20-minute coaching call. See where you are in life, and if you want to take it any further from there, I help people reach that state of happiness. And so, like we said before, just if it wasn't for us reaching out for help, we wouldn't be here helping others. So reach out for help. We're here for you. You deserve happiness. You deserve to be the happiest you can be. And any choice that you make today is either going to steer you towards that or away from that. So
yes, and definitely, hop on a coaching call with Jodie, JodieJaimes.com, JAIMES.com, and happiness coach. You can, set something up with her, and it's amazing. She feels amazing after she works with people too, and it's just amazing to see how much people can just gain some insight from different words, the words they need to hear at the right time. And you can visit me at unwindwithmelissa.com for more on energy healing, long distance healing, therapeutic massage, yoga and meditation online, and yoga meditation coaching online as well. So, I think that's all for today.
Awesome.
But give us a visit and get in contact if you have any questions. So we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Have a wonderful, happy day.
See you. Adios.